I am still on my mission to find the perfect solution to replace my Ring cameras and finally get rid of that subscription fee. Today I'll be looking at EZVIZ, who have sent me their H9c dual 2K camera. This is quite an interesting product from a very well-known camera brand, but the question is, what is the user experience like in the app, and is the EZVIZ ecosystem up to the task of replacing Ring? Let's find out. If you've been looking at smart cameras, then you'll almost certainly have heard of EZVIZ. They're a smart home brand that mostly makes security cameras, but also make other smart home products like vacuums and sensors and things. They are a sub-brand of Hikvision, who make so many different types of cameras for all sorts of purposes, from industrial and commercial to maritime, but we'll talk more about Hikvision later. So the camera they've sent me is the H9c, which is rated for outdoor use. It supports both Wi-Fi and hardwired Ethernet connection, but not power over Ethernet, so if you want to use wired Ethernet, then you're going to need to run a power cable to it as well. It comes with a nice long power cable, which I think is about 6 meters long, but it's just a standard barrel connector and easy enough to find longer ones if you need it. This is a dual lens camera and they're used in quite a clever way. Both cameras are 2K resolution, which is 3 megapixels, but one is fixed at the top and wide angle, whereas the other is on a pan and tilt head but optically zoomed in. What this means is that your camera will always be watching the area that the wide angle lens is pointing at, but the second lens can jump into where the action is happening and take a closer look for you. On normal pan and tilt cameras, you end up with blind spots when the lens is pointing the wrong way, but on fixed cameras you often can't see the detail at a distance. This dual camera design is a very clever best of both worlds. So you can see here that I've had to do a bit of woodwork to test this camera out. I've made this stand and screwed the camera to it so as I can demo it properly. You can use it upside down if you want and rotate the image, but the angle of the lenses means that it can't see the floor at short distances. You'll need the EZVIZ app to set the camera up, which is a straightforward process involving scanning a QR code that I won't cover here. It will present itself as one device but 2 separate camera streams. You can tap the left image and see the wide angle view, or tap the right image and view the pan tilt view. In the pan tilt view you can tap PTZ and control the robot head to point wherever you want. But if you tap the sync playback button instead, you get both views at the same time. Now this view is mostly useful for playing back recorded events. The camera supports micro SD cards up to 512 GB and it slots in behind a screwed down panel on the head of the pan tilt camera. Once installed, I then went into the camera settings by tapping the cog in the top right of the live view, choosing linkage settings and enabling both multi-lens linkage and human tracking. Then when you walk in front of the camera, the pan tilt lens will follow you around. That sync playback mode will nicely show the whole field of view and the close-up tracked view at the same time. And if you select a previous recording from the timeline, it'll play clips from both cameras at the same time too. Oh yeah, it's a pan tilt camera. You know what that means, right? Yeah, I have to do a dad dance test. Well, the camera didn't like following my face. It really concentrated on my body, which could be a bit of a problem in the real world. It wasn't because I was too close to it, because there was still room for it to tilt up more. Hopefully that'll get fixed with software updates in the future, but apart from that, the tracking is quite smooth. So that's motion tracking tested, but what about night vision? Well, there are 2 modes available: your traditional infrared black and white vision and the latest fad of colour night vision. You might remember me putting a Reolink colour night vision camera through its paces in a previous video, and I found that unless there's some light either from street lights or the built-in LEDs, then colour night vision isn't great. In low light it's okay, but no light it's useless, and the EZVIZ camera is the same. The colour night vision mode only works if it turns on its own built-in LEDs, and they are very bright. So this is some footage recorded using colour night vision. It works because those LEDs are lighting everything up. but that's no good in some circumstances. I much prefer normal black and white night vision because it's using invisible light. I guess the type of night vision that's best for you depends on where you plan to use the camera. And of course the camera works with Home Assistant too. If you want to get a live local feed out of the camera, you do first need to enable RTSP. First, grab the verification code for your camera by going to the camera's settings, choosing device information, then viewing the verification code and making a note of it. Then from the front page of the app, tap on your profile picture in the top left, settings, LAN live view and start scanning. Your camera should show up in the list, so tap on that. The first time you do this, you will be asked for a username and password. The username will probably be admin and the password is the verification code from earlier. Double tap on one of the preview images and then tap on the settings icon in the top right. Tap local service settings and then make sure RTSP is turned on. Now you can just add the EZVIZ integration in Home Assistant, which is unfortunately a cloud integration, although the video stream will be totally local. You'll get lots of controls including motion sensors and pan tilt controls. So this camera is pretty feature rich, but do they have the full range of products to rival Ring? So let's bring up the range of Ring cameras that I'm looking to get rid of. And we'll start with the stick-up cam at the front of my house. I could use a basic bullet style camera here because it needs to be fixed in position. I don't really want a pan tilt camera here because I don't want to cover my neighbour's properties where I can avoid it. Now to the Spotlight Cam Solar, which is on my shed. I need something totally wireless here. One option here could be the CB5, which has a really unique design with a built-in solar panel. They have other battery and solar cameras available that would do the job too if the angle of the solar panel isn't right for you, but this design looks pretty cool, I think. Of course, I need to replace that doorbell too. EZVIZ have a few options here. The EP3X Pro is their latest. It is pretty big physically, but it can be powered by existing doorbell wiring if you have it. It has dual cameras so as you can keep an eye on the doorstep, and it has a solar panel option too if you're running it on batteries. And lastly, there's the floodlight cam. Now I could put the H9c here. That's the dual 2K camera I've been reviewing in this video. It would be ideal because it has built-in super bright LEDs and the pan tilt camera could zoom in nicely on any motion it detects. But EZVIZ also do dedicated floodlight cams like the LC1C, which can provide much brighter lighting outdoors. So it's clear that EZVIZ have something for every scenario. In terms of using the app though, it is a bit quirky overall, with some strange terminology like definition instead of resolution, but viewing recordings on the SD card is quite straightforward. You can view as events or as a timeline and then just tap to start the playback. But I'm not a fan of putting SD cards into the cameras. I'd much rather have centralized storage. EZVIZ have an NVR that can take up to 8 terabytes of storage, which should be more than enough, and there are models that support either 4 or 8 cameras. I haven't tested this out myself, but the option is there if needed. I mentioned earlier on that EZVIZ is a brand of Hikvision, and I can't really talk about them without addressing the controversy over Hikvision at the moment. Now, the use of Hikvision products has been banned by a number of government departments in various countries around the world, including the US and the UK for a number of reasons, which I won't go into in this video. But you should have a good read through the Wikipedia page for Hikvision before you purchase. So will EZVIZ be replacing my Ring subscription? Well, I think the app needs a bit more polish. The way it works is very similar to the SwitchBot app, so totally usable, and they have all of the products I'm after, but crucially I've not tried out the NVR and I can't find any information on which cameras work with that. I don't really want to have to rely on SD cards in each camera, but apart from that I'm not crossing EZVIZ off the list just yet. Anyway, I'll put a link to the EZVIZ H9c down in the description in case you want to check it out. Massive thank you as always to my channel members listed here for their support. If you'd like to become a channel member too and get early access to my videos, then check out the link in the description. Please give this video a like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for free to see more from me. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.